Good afternoon, guys. It's working. Bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. We're looking at Bitcoin, the US dollar 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was operating inside this ascending triangle here, as we discussed. Unfortunately, my either I don't know if it's my internet connection or if it's YouTube, but actually, it broke up about 2 minutes after releasing my my last video, guys. So apologies for that. I wish I had gotten it up sooner. Nonetheless, I did warn you in that video, so hopefully you did get some benefit out of it. I warned you of a potential bull trap, guys, and this is exactly where I told you to watch out for that reversal. If this was going to be a bull trap, I said watch out for the reversal at 11,050. What was going to define a bull trap? Obviously, unable to break above 1150. Really, I said between 1150 and 11,100, and coincidentally or not so coincidentally, price came up and rejected right at 1150 the first time. At a second pass, rejected at 11,100, and then of course collapsed back down to our prior area of consolidation here. Second thing I was warning you about is if we did break up and it was not on a lot of volume, and you can see down here, price when it did break up on the 4-hour here, I mean, yes, volume did spike a little bit, but of course we were looking for a massive breakout. This is why I was telling you to reference the hourly, and this is why I was showing you this prior wick here. Look at the hourly here. When we did break up here, of course, yes, we had a little spike in volume here, but it was nowhere close to the kind of bullish move that we saw back here with the nice momentum to actually fulfill those targets that we were looking for, hopefully north of 11,500. So it really did give you every single possible warning. Not that this was definitely going to be a bull trap, but that the chance of it being a bull trap was very real, breaking up on very little volume, rejecting right at that $11,050 zone, being unable to break above, guys, really did. So if this was a very good trading opportunity, but this is why you don't go all in, guys, and this is why I give you these various scenarios. So as you're watching these videos, because we're not trading in real time together, you know what to look for. And I know some people get frustrated at that. They get frustrated in me telling you all these different various scenarios of things things that could happen. But you know, if that frustrates you, then don't watch the video. You know, this is for people that not only this channel is not for people that want to be told what to do. This channel is for people that want to understand how to trade and to learn to do it by themselves. So if you're looking for a signals channel, you are in the wrong channel, man. All right, so I'll just let that go. So where are we now? Now we've broken back down below 10,650, guys. We are consolidating in the prior area of consolidation. So technically, we cannot call this a bull trap as of yet. We could technically call this just stop hunting. I mean, certainly this is looked at as stop hunting without question. I mean, we took off here. Of course, price crashed right back down to the bottom of that. Not really, actually, really the bottom of the structure, not the ultimate low of the structure, but certainly the bottom of this structure, almost coming down perfectly on it. So as of right now, guys, I can't call this a bull trap just yet. Now we are basically, again, as I like to say, we're sitting in purgatory. We don't know if we're going to heaven or hell. We don't know if Bitcoin's breaking up, breaking down. Bulls are going to take control or bears are going to take control. And there are a whole lot of things going on, and my job is to tell you what to look for. So right now, I'm looking for, even if we did, typically what you would say is, I'd say if we took out the prior low of this structure, which would be down here at about 10,100, then we're going to come down much lower. But we know, and I've talked about many times in the past, this $9,950 zone is to be respected. That is if we look at the larger picture, guys, that is let me just pull out here very, very quickly. We go, pulling out on the daily here, grabbing the fib, guys. This is, and I know I've repeated this in the past, guys, but for the benefit of new subscribers, by the way, any new subscribers to the channel, welcome, guys. Glad to have you here. So if we grab swing low, swing high, we can see that $9,950 zone literally perfectly overlying with the golden pocket there, almost right at 9,950, the golden ratio, that is. But again, lining up perfectly with the golden pocket there. So this zone is to be respected for two reasons. One, could we expect a bounce if it does drop back down here? Yes, I would expect some kind of a reaction at that zone. More importantly, if this zone is broken, if we break this zone for a second time, as we did here, briefly breaking down to 9,400, if that does get broken, guys, yes, of course, I think that a quick drop to 9,400 is going to be obvious. I mean, that'd be a very, very obvious play. And if you can get a 4-hour open and close below 9,950 and catch it before it collapses, I think that'd be a very safe short down to 9,400. Obviously, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. You do what you want to do. Have your stops tight. That's what I would do. Again, not a financial advisor. That being said, though, I do think if it does come back down here and catch this break down 9,950 a second time, I have my serious doubts whether or not 9,400 is going to hold. Why do I say that? I say that because as everybody is looking at here, guys, we come over here. Looking at this is on the 4-hour chart. Everybody and their brother, as you know, is looking at this potential death cross on the exponential chart. Now we know that we've had the death cross on the 50 simple crossing below the 200 simple. We have yet to have it happen on the 50 EMA crossing below the 200 exponential there. So if that does happen, guys, of course I'm going to get very bearish. Of course I'm going very is a strong term. We're not looking at a daily death cross. We're looking at a 4-hour. So I need to we need to make sure that. I want to be very careful with my words. I would still view that as a healthy correction, but I would be picking targets down there below 9,400. I would think 8,900, and as we discussed yesterday, 8,500 becomes a very likely target. And we've discussed now for almost a month as to why 8,500 is a target, not just because of the CME gap, but for the numerous reasons that I've pointed out countless times. I mean, if we look at the old structure, swing low, swing high, that's the 50 fib level. I'll just throw it on there. We're looking at the weekly here. We can see that's the 50. We go swing low, swing high. We can see that's the 50 fib level right there at 8,500. We can also see, looking at the weekly here, actually I'm going to pull out to the monthly, not the weekly. We can also see, pulling out to the monthly, the last swing high we had of the bear market in 2018 was in July. That was the last swing high that we had, and that was where? 8,500. And by the way, I find it again very, very funny that a lot of analysts are starting to repeat all the reasons why 8,500 is so relevant, aside from the obvious CME gap. People are starting to point this out now. And again, it's I guess you can call it a coincidence, whatever. Anyway, so this 8,500 is very relevant. It was the last prior swing high. Not only that, looking at the monthly chart, as price broke up here, and the first place, or the first month back in May, where price started to go parabolic here, where did it find its resistance? 8,500. Where did it switch over resistance, turn to support in June? 8,500. Where is that CME gap? If I pull out here on the CME chart and pull out here, where is our CME gap? Shoot. 8,500, right? So 8,500 for so many reasons, as I've been informing you guys, is a very relevant zone. And at some point in time, I do think price is going to come down here. Now, it could go much, much higher. It does not have to come down here. It could take years to come back down here. But eventually, this chart does suggest, for not just this gap, but for numerous reasons, that the price will come down and retest this zone at some point in the future. This is why I've been telling you that I would like to see, and Bitcoin doesn't care about what I would like to see, but I would like to see 8,500 get taken out somewhere down here, or at least close to it, before we continue to the upside. But that being said, Bitcoin could care less what I think. All right, so for all these reasons, 8,500 is a likely target, guys. And so this is, this is making the case for the bears. This is suggesting price wants to come down here and test 8,500. If I come over here and I look at volume, guys, volume is ticking down. Volume is suggesting we are going to get a larger move here, very, very likely in the next 24 to 48 hours. Volume also ticking down. Looking at the 4-hour here, we can see also volumes ticking down. Looking at the weekly, weekly is pretty much flat, which you would expect to see on a weekly. But we come over here and we look at our moving averages, exponential moving averages. Let me switch over to the 4-hour here. This is what I was warning you about. I was telling you prior to that breakout that we had here, I was telling you all of our moving average, or our 821 and 55 exponential are all coming together with the 50 simple. I told you the only thing that we were missing in that formula, typically when you see that happening, you see a larger move coming. The only thing we were missing in that formula was the bottlenecking of the Bollinger Bands. We are now literally seeing the Bollinger Bands bottleneck about as much as they ever have on a 4-hour chart, and we're literally seeing the 821 and 55 all converging on top of each other. We have rejected off of the 200 simple here on the 4-hour, which, whether or not that's relevant, we'll have to wait and see. It is the second time we've rejected, almost the third, but really the second. Rejected here. So we're going to have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. Looking at the daily, we did reject off the 21 exponential, which you guys know how much I value the 21 exponential moving average, guys. That is extremely, extremely, on the daily here, that is extremely, extremely relevant in my opinion. So the fact that we're unable to get up above this yet, guys, is troublesome. I need to see not just a break above, I need to see an open and close on the daily above the 21 exponential before I'll start to get bullish and start looking at possibly taking out this prior high. Until that does happen, I'm very, very skeptical of this move. And we can see, of course, we're trading between the 50 simple and the 21 exponential here. So let's wait and see how this plays out. For now, Zooming in on the 4-hour for now, guys, we can see that we did have a little bit of bearish divergence here on the 4-hour MACD, which has pretty much played out for now. I wouldn't put too much weight onto that. However, pulling out here to the daily, actually, let me get rid of the RSI here. Pulling out here to the daily, I pointed this out yesterday. We can see that we do have some fairly substantial hidden bullish divergence on the daily MACD. You can kind of see here, price created a higher low, price created a lower low on the MACD there. We can also see the same thing happen on the daily RSI there. Now, we did see price break up, and as we discussed yesterday, that may have cleared that, but you could really make a case for price coming much higher here. I bring that up because last time we saw this happen, guys, was right back here, where obviously, now we just get it down here, obviously price for a point-to-point price created a higher low in this case. And if we come over here and look at our chart, look at the MACD created a lower low. We can also see the same thing on the daily RSI creating a lower low. And look at the explosion we had in price here. And the divergence here is pretty substantial on both the RSI and on the MACD, much greater than it was then. Now, does that mean that it hasn't already played out? No, not really. But it just shows the epic battle that we are seeing right now between the bulls and the bears. I mean, this potential death cross in the 4-hour just says it all. We've basically been flatlining since 1200 GMT time on July the 18th. Just basically flatlining here. So, I mean, this truly is an epic battle. And I do think that once things start moving, it could potentially happen very quickly. Coming out here, checking the weekly. Weekly, of course, as we've been talking about, is still defending the 8-week EMA here. That is bullish sign, guys. We close above the 8-week EMA. Obviously, that's going to be bare minimum. If we did close below the 8-week EMA during this week, which I don't see happening, but of course could happen if we get a larger move here. Of course, that'd be extremely bearish. That would suggest next target down there at about that $8,900 zone. But to the upside here, yes, we need to close above this prior week's close, which is at about 10,170 to technically have for the bulls to have a shot. But what I like to see is a close at least above the week of July the 1st, the open of July the 1st, and above the close of the week of June 24th. So that's going to put us above about 10,750. Let's call it 10,800. If we can close above 10,800, of course, I'm going to get a lot more bullish here in the longer term macro scale. Macro scale would look a lot more bullish. But for now, as long as we close above, technically, as long as we close above the prior week's close, that again would probably just. But if we close anywhere between 10,800 and 10,170. I'm going to call that basically purgatory with no real winner here. Above that zone, guys, obviously that would nod to the bears, and below that zone would be a nod to the bears. Above that zone would be a nod to the bulls. Zooming in on the 4-hour, we can see that this is on very much on a micro scale. We can see that we are kind of stuck between a demand zone here. You can see where price came down, wick, of course, verifying that demand zone here with our last 2 wicks here. So a lot of buy orders still sitting here. Again, this is on a very micro level here, and we're stuck between that demand zone and the supply zone right here. And we can see that's also verified by wick, and of course just a rejection here. So a lot of sell orders here, a lot of buy orders here. Again, a lot is a relative term. We're talking on the very micro level here. So this would suggest a break below about 10,280. A decisive break below 10,280 would suggest a drop back down to retest 9,950, and a decisive break above 10,760 would suggest a retesting of at least 11,050 to 11,100. Now, I know that's not very helpful unless you're trading on massive leverage, but just to kind of give you an idea of the very micro time frame and what we're looking at here. And if you did want to potentially front run a move, you may be wanting to watch those. But to be honest, guys, I wouldn't be until we get some kind of confirmation on this, until we do clear 11,050 or drop below 9,950, until we get out of this zone here, guys. I would not playing anything too heavy. Very, very small scalps here and there, but nothing too heavy until we get some kind of resolution here, until something happens with this potential death cross here that we've just been flirting with for the last 3 days now. You know, this is not like it was, at least not right now. This is not like it was where if we get a 4-hour open and close above 10,650, we may immediately shoot up to 11,050. It's a little bit of a different scenario now. Same thing to the downside here, guys. We do have some support that we're sitting on top of. So, you know, the range is now wider with this breakout here. Since we broke out, tested 11,050 and have come back into this consolidation zone, we've widened the range. And until this range gets decisively broken to the down or to the upside, guys, be conservative. And as I say, I know you guys are traders, so you want to trade. You feel like you need to trade. You feel like that's what that's what a trader should do. Best thing sometimes a trader can do is just sit back, as I say, grab your popcorn and enjoy the show until you got a good setup. As I said yesterday, how am I playing it? Decisive break above 11,050. I'm targeting at least 11,500. Of course, 11,500 gets taken out. 12,000 is going to be, I don't have it marked on here, but is going to be, it's obviously a good psychological. It's also clearly a visual, is going to be the next target I'm going to be looking for. 12,000 gets taken out decisively. I'm going to be looking at 12,400, and that's really the zone that I'm curious of. If we get above 12,400, I do think, yes, we do have 12,950, really 13,000-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. That is going to be very good psychological. That was the prior swing high here. But I do think if we break above 12,400 decisively, really let's call it 12,400, 12,500 decisively, I do think that we end up taking out 12,950, and I do think we take a shot at that $13,850 zone up here. To the downside, as I said, guys, we take out decisively 9,950. Quick drop down to 9,400. I have my doubts as to whether that holds. That breaks down, of course, it's a quick drop to 8,900. Of course, we'll be playing the support all the way down. This is where it gets tricky between 8,900 and 8,500. This is where my buy order is stacked. This is where I could literally see a bounce anywhere between 8,900 and 8,500. Does it mean that that's going to be the bottom? Not necessarily, but that is where I would certainly look for a major, major bounce. Yes, everybody's looking for that. We've already discussed that in prior videos. I do think this is going to be a relevant zone between 8,500 and 8,900 and that's a very, very big if we do end up getting down there, if things do break in favor of the bears here. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Now, I apologize if I'm sounding a little bit off today, man. I'm feeling like total crap. All right, Vladicus Radicus says, thanks for the book recommendation. Just picked up Trading in the Zone. Man, that's a great book. I think you're going to be very, very happy with it. Let me know how it goes. Let's see. Daspol says, thanks, Workin. Your work, as usual, is unparalleled in the space. Oh, thanks, man. We are very, don't know about that, but thank you. We're very fortunate to have you as an analyst for free. I know you don't want it, but I would pay a subscription service because of this. I think everybody in here should be helping you out by looking around for copycats. I know I'll start today, my friend. Again, thanks so much for all you do in this community. It's very appreciated. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. Mr. Gonzalez says, Bitcoin drops, bears await. You will see. Mr. Sylvia says, thanks for your reply. My question is CME in relation to spot gaps on daily 4-hour or daily and 4-hour. Hey, my pleasure. Kevin Roberts says, thanks for all your videos. As always, working. Wish I had jumped in earlier. Missed a lot of. Yeah, you'll get them next time, Kevin. But good to have you here, man. Andre stopped by, says hello. Hey, man. Good to have you here, Andre. VG Holdings asks, you're an awesome teacher, Working. I appreciate you sharing this knowledge with us. A couple questions. When I pull my fib lines, I have the 618, but not the 65. How do I add it? I didn't see it anywhere you do ratios. If so, could you do the BTC Litecoin pair? Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely look at BTC Litecoin, Bitcoin to Litecoin pairing. Let's bring it up here very quickly, and I'll show you also how to do the there we go. Bitcoin to Litecoin. There it is. And yeah, basically just how you draw your fib on there. And I know my fib's a little different. I did do this on a prior video, but just for example, you just pull up your basic fib. You can see that I've added the 6.5 on mine. I also have the 8865 as well. Basically, you just right click, or depending on your computer, the cursor area there on the fib brings up this area, and yes, you're not going to find it already plugged in there. You're actually going to have to come in here and change one of these fibs. So just type it in there manually, hit the check mark, and there it is. Hit OK down at the bottom, and there you go. All right, let's look at Litecoin to Bitcoin. This is on the daily chart. Yeah, last time it looks like it hit. Last time I can't remember the last time I looked at this. What was it, like a week or so ago? It looks like it did hit our target from a week or so ago there. I believe I said I believe it was trading somewhere up here about, I think we were consolidating right here, maybe right around 87. I don't remember it exactly, but this was our target down here. It looks like it hit it exactly at about 8,000 Satoshi. Wow, I mean, almost perfectly at about 8,000 Satoshi. Came back up, and of course, did hit what was support, is now turning into resistance, which is never a good sign. Let me just zoom in here very quickly. I was looking at this as well earlier today, seeing your question, and yeah, we are. I was deciding whether or not this was an ascending triangle, excuse me, asymmetrical triangle, and of course it is a symmetrical triangle, which of course is an equal opportunity break to the up or to the downside here. Top of this zone does line up nicely with our prior area of support here and support here. So I would say if we do end up breaking up here, I'd watch out for a potential bull trap at about 9,680 Satoshi. If we get a 4-hour open and close about 9,700 Satoshi, I do think it probably wants to, let me just double check here before I say something. Yeah, it probably wants to run up to about at least 10,100 Satoshi-ish. That'd be your first target. Second target would be about 10,350 Satoshi. That is a break to the upside. A break to the downside, also lining up perfectly here. We can see what was resistance is turning into support here. Bounced off quite a couple times here, or quite a few times here, and that's going to be at about 9,100. So really a setting up here for a potential bull or bear trap, or also for a confirmed breakout to the up or downside. So you kind of know what to look for here if it does break down. And this is an equal opportunity break, guys. This really is. This is not giving us any clues at all. But to the downside, if we break below about 9,000 Satoshi, I will think it's a quick drop. Your first target is going to very likely be 8,800 Satoshi. Below that, you're going to be looking at about 8,450 Satoshi. If we take out 8,000 Satoshi, it could be a it could get nasty. I mean, we could drop down to next target would be about 7,100. We're nowhere near there yet, but just kind of give you an idea. Quickly looking at the 4-hour, let's see if 4-hour indicators are giving us much of anything to go by here. Really not much at all. Let's check the daily. I mean, we had some bullish divergence, which basically already played out. Yeah, I mean, not really giving us much of anything. Let me look at the weekly. Actually, no. Yeah, I mean, really not that. Yeah, I mean that basically is it. I mean, these do look like strong targets, though. You know, so I would say again, if we do break down, you know, I would be surprised if it went lower than 8,000. 8,000 does look 8,000 Satoshi does look like a very strong support. But again, if that does break down, very quick drop down to about 7,100 ish. Just looking at the macro level, breaking to the upside here. Actually, the weekly would suggest if we did break up with strength, the weekly would suggest a rise all the way up to about 11,500 Satoshi. Of course, it's not going to be that quick, but over time, if we get to get that decisive break, yeah, weekly would suggest about 11,500 Satoshi if we did get that break to the upside. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but yeah, that's Litecoin. All right, Johnny Cooper says, perfect, thank you, Johnny. JH says, thanks, thank you, JH. Jay says, you and Eric crowned far enough pro insight to get well along. I see 10K, 12.5, 8.5, zigzag, potential another zigzag. I mean, that 12.5, you bring up a good point with 12.5. 12.5, I mean, if we zoom out here, let me zoom out here to the daily. I mean, this whole thing does just look like what? One big consolidation pattern, right? One big potential bull flag, which, you know, yeah, coming up to actually I take that back. You'd have to actually anchor this right up here, and this would actually have to start acting more like a descending broadening wedge if we're going to come up here and test 12.5, which is, you know, to be fair, you know, certainly is possible. We have to kind of wait and see kind of how that plays out, but anyway, I don't want to get off too much on that rabbit trail. Yeah, then we talked about the Elliott wave, wave 3, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not an Elliott trader. I'm not an Elliott expert at all. But yeah. we've discussed that already. And thanks for stopping by, man. I really appreciate you always commenting, Jay. I appreciate your contributions to the channel. Arkansas says, you've been talking about the death cross on the 4-hour chart, which is cause for concern, but on the daily chart, we haven't reached that point. So in regards to the death cross or golden cross, which time frame on the chart should be most important factor of a bull or bear run? 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly? Thank you. Typically, certainly the daily is going to hold more weight than the 4-hour, without question. And typically, traditionally, when people are talking about a death cross, they're referring mostly to a daily chart. So yeah, we are talking about a 4-hour chart, which is a micro level. I mean, all things considered, depending on what you're talking about, everything's relative, right? But no, a 4-hour would hold much less weight than a daily, without question. We can get a death cross on the 4-hour, and I can still call this a very healthy correction. If we got a death cross on a daily, it'd be another thing. So definitely the daily holds much more weight. Let's see. Todd says, thank you. Have a great weekend. You as well, Todd. John says, Bears are going to lose, I think. Test at 12.5 higher. Just my 2 Satoshi short of fundamental nonsense happening. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, my friend. Grandiani says, I have a question concerning 4-hour open and close. If, for example, the price breaks with great momentum above 11,100, heading towards 11,500 zone pretty fast, would you still wait to pass 4 hours opening and closing before going long and not take advantage of the momentum? It's a good question, and it really depends on the setup. So yesterday, as we talked about, guys, yesterday we were talking about, let me zoom back in here to the 4-hour. Yesterday, of course, we were looking at this this bullish setup with the ascending triangle here. We were seeing volume kind of tick down. We had that bullish look on the ascending triangle. We also had what looked like a potential inverted head and shoulders, which regardless of whether or not you call that is a micro level bullish pattern. So we had a lot of things suggesting a break to the upside. So in this case, yes, I wouldn't be waiting for confirmation. Of course, we didn't. This is why I was saying, yes, I am on a before we broke out here. I was saying that I was on a micro level bullish, but on a more midterm level, I was still agnostic here because, of course, we needed to take out this 11,050. So in this case, of course, yes, I would want to. I would look at front running this thing. I would not wait for that confirmation of the 4-hour open and close. However, if we're looking at, it really depends on the setup. If we're looking at a setup to where I was looking at something like, like waiting for this 11,050. If we were to break above 11,050 and break up with momentum, am I going to try to front run that? Not necessarily. It really depends on where it was. But my point is, it depends on the situation. And I tell you these things. I would tell you to wait for confirmation because on a 4-hour open and close, or sometimes we use the daily open and close, I say these things because I'm not there trading right there with you. And as you become a more seasoned trader, you're going to know what to look for as far as when it's okay to front run, or when it is. You never know for sure, right? But when is a good risk to reward? What is looking more likely than not? What is more probable? And that's all trading is, probabilities, right? Because nothing is a guarantee. So what's more probable? And you're going to start to see those kind of things as you trade more and more. But typically a good rule of thumb is, if you're unsure, is to wait for a 4-hour open and close, wait for that confirmation, and then try to play it. Now you may miss the move entirely. Like if you just break up here, yeah, if you were waiting for the break up here, you would have missed the move entirely. It came up and it came back down before you had a chance to do anything. So you missed that move. And yeah, that could be frustrating. But over time, you also didn't lose any money. And over time, then when it does work out in your favor, you're going to have a more successful trade. You have more probable successful trade. And so the more successful trades, more successful setups you can have, the more wins you have, the more your account grows. Yes, it's tedious. Yes, it takes time. It's not that immediate gratification. But as any successful trader is going to tell you, you don't get immediate gratification most of the time. Most of the time, it's methodical. Most of the time, it is. And this is why most of the people don't make money trading, because most people don't want to do. Most people don't have the patience. They don't want to take the time to learn the particular skill set. They want the instant gratification. So hopefully I'm answering your question here. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as waiting for confirmation all the time. It can be. It certainly can be. And if you don't know what you're doing, it is that simple. But as you become more seasoned, then yes, you do start to look for things like volume. You do start to look for volume back up by a bullish setup, by a bullish posture, by a bullish pattern, and those kind of things all go into your decisions. So hopefully that makes sense. Joe says, thank you, Joe. Jason says, when do you think the death cross will happen? Sometime late next week? I honestly don't know, man. As I said, it is an epic battle right now. If we were to break up with momentum to the upside, it may not happen until next year. I seriously doubt that on the 4-hour. We'd probably see it before next year, but you get my point. I just can't answer that question. I wish I could come up with some BS answer, man, but I just can't answer that question. I don't know. Crypto Bitcoin says, death cross is going to kiss. It has been kissing it, man. They've been smooching for the last 3 days. Let's see. Karun says, hey, Jun Lee. Yeah, I don't get that. Let's see. Dab says, great job. Thank you, my friend. And Mr. Mr. Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi says, no offense, bro, but you don't really say much. You literally give every single possible outcome, and then those that aren't even possible, and then that's the end of the video. Appreciate what you're doing, but this channel doesn't help. Well, if it doesn't help, man, then I would encourage you to not watch. Truly, if that's what you're getting out of the channel, then there are plenty of other channels that are going to tell you to buy, that are going to tell you to sell, they're going to tell you that we're in a bull, bear market, etc., etc., etc. That is not what this channel is for, so you might be in the wrong place. All right, my friend, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working. Signing out.